Hello, I'm out here on the beach, and yeah, it's nice and overcast right now. The waves are looking really beautiful, so I just sat down on a log here. I want to talk about some cool books. So this is a book by Larry William Grimm. I never met this man. He was the brother of one of my neighbors where I grew up. He died, I believe, of some kind of spinal disease or something along those lines. This is his master's thesis from San Diego State University in 1980. The title of the thesis is called Canned Adventure. And it's here, I'll hold up the book. I gotta hold up the book while I'm talking. It's very interesting to me because this is extremely rare. You can't even find this in the San Diego State University archives. I looked. So this is a very rare find. And that makes it extremely valuable to me, right? It's a very interesting read. It discusses, this is for a Master's of Arts degree, by the way, that's what this is for. It discusses all the artistic versions and all the artistic interpretation in Disney and the Jungian concepts, which I so dislike, behind them. And, those various type of things. It's got some Joseph Campbell stuff in there. It's got a lot of stuff that I disagree with, but it's very interesting. It's very rare. There's only few copies of this exist on Earth, and I have 2 of them. So, interesting thing about this master's thesis is that you can make you can die of alcohol poisoning making a drinking game out of the word conjure. Uses the word conjure constantly. There's also typographic errors and basic spelling mistakes in this master's thesis, but it's all typed out on. It's only one page, not double side printed. Only one page is printed on, and it's all typed out in like an actual typewriter, Courier New font. So yeah, very interesting, extremely interesting to me, because it's so rare. You can't find this anywhere else. Literally, this is the rarest book I have, because you can't find it anywhere else. It doesn't exist, right? That makes it very cool. That makes it very cool to me. It makes it very cool in general, because it's so rare, So, yeah, that's very interesting. So, more about this guy. He got a Master's of Arts, obviously, from San Diego State University in 1980. I don't know what he did professionally. He did something weird professionally. He wanted to become a preacher, a pastor, I think, for some church. He had a full body tattoo. He had a full body tattoo from his neck all the way down to his ankles. That's what I've heard. I can't confirm anything about this guy. I never knew him, never met him, never talked about him. But yeah, he was quite a character, obviously. He was quite some kind of character, wanted to become pastor, master of arts degree, all this kind of stuff. He was my neighbor. His sister was extremely zealot religious. I forget what denomination, but she was like extremely zealot religious, and I think that he was kind of against that, if I had to guess. Not against religion, but the tattoo, the worship of Disney, which a lot of, very religious people would consider the Antichrist, right? He talks about some positives and negatives about Disney. It's not all positive. It's mostly positive, though. It's mostly positive, but it's not all positive. Canned Adventure is the title. Canned Adventure, like, canned in in a can adventure for like Disney, you know. This is about Disney California, Disneyland, right? Not Disney World, whichever one the one in California is. And yeah, he goes there about 4 times for this thesis. He's gone there many times. Obviously, he's an adult Disney fan, as you can tell. Quite a character. And he gone there about 4 times in this thesis in the 70s, and he wrote about, he went and made to a point, you know, the thesis is about examining the park, so he made it a point to go at different times every time. You know, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening, once at night too, which I thought was interesting. I don't remember Disney being open very late into the night. Maybe it was back then, I'm not sure. I've been to Disney in California when I was a child a few times. I said, oh God, that's horrible. Correct your speech. Anyway, my aunt works at Disney in Florida, and she and her daughter are Disney maniacs. They're just obsessed with it. They love it all, and more power to her. You know, she's living her dream. She's living her dream job in Florida. Florida is a great state. You know, more power to her, man. But anyway, yeah, this is a very interesting thing to me. It's just very interesting that this is so unbelievably rare. You know, you can't go get this right now. You can't go find this right now. Go to the San Diego State University website and look up their archives, because they have archives of master's theses from like 1970 something and onward. They have a few in the 80s, but none in 1980 specifically, and none obviously with any of this or his name on them at all. I was kind of doubting the general feeling about this book is that it may not even be legit. He might not have gotten his degree or something, and that's why it's not in the archives. That's entirely possible, I'm not sure, but it was printed, right? Printed and bound, embossed. This is an embossing. This is an actual embossing here. So they went to great lengths to make it look official anyway. But basic typographic and spelling errors kind of lead credence to it maybe not being so official. But it's signed, it's got some signatures, April 22nd, 1980. And it's just got a very formal thing. So, interesting thing as well about this book, when I went to university, APA 7, well, it depended. It was really the university's own version of APA, but APA 7 was the formatting. This has some kind of ancient APA formatting. It has a references page, not a works cited page, a references page, and it's in some kind of very old APA formatting. The whole thing double-spaced, very hard to read. I hate double-spaced. I hate all the academic formats. They're just trash, complete trash, impossible to read. IEEE is by far and above the most readable, but IEEE's got a lot of problems associated with it too. So all the academic formatting is complete garbage. But this is very hard to read because all the other ones besides IEEE are double-spaced, double line spacing. Let me show you an example here. So you got like that. You see the big line spacing between the sentences? Very hard to read. I like condensed lines, like a book. That's why books are made that way, right? There's a reason for it. IEEE follows the Bible's formatting, the columns, you know, and I like that too. That's much easier to read than the longer compressed lines, in my opinion. But I'm used to reading Bibles. That's what I do for fun. I study religion, right? So it's kind of, maybe I have some kind of upper hand there from reading so much of it that way. But yeah, this is extremely interesting. Master's thesis, Masters of Arts from San Diego State University in 1980. My neighbor's deceased brother. Let's talk about that neighbor. So while we're on the subject here, that neighbor was, I believe he was in the Marines. Almost all my neighbors were in the Marines. And he was from the actual area. He was from, I think it was from California, but he was from the area that I was raised in, born and raised in, where most of my neighbors were not, right? Most people in Arizona aren't originally from Arizona. And I am. So that's kind of interesting. We had some kind of commonality there, at least. And he was a very nice guy, extremely nice guy. He had a daughter who was kind of iffy. She got into a lot of trouble. She's a real rambunctious kind of person, but she's fine. She lives fine, very good. Turned out good. I don't know if he expressed regret about the way he raised her, because he pushed her a lot. You know, he's one of those controlling parents, you know, and her mother, his wife, very controlling as well. But nonetheless, I think he was an okay dad, okay guy, and his wife is the sister of this guy. And anyway, so yeah, they're very nice. He taught me how to drive, basically. He was the first inkling I had into driving. He had this 2008, I believe, or 2010 maybe, Yamaha Rhino, or 2012 maybe it was, Yamaha Rhino, little UTV, side by side, you know, UTV, ultra-terrain vehicle, and two-seater. And yeah, we went driving around the desert in that together. And he was interested in kind of showing me how to do it. You know, I was kind of interested in that, and I was like, okay, yeah. So we did that. I was real little. I don't know how old I was. I must have been. I don't know how old I was. I don't remember. But I was very young. So yeah, that was kind of my first inkling into driving. And going around the desert, I learned the local area of the desert. Of course, I had rode bikes, I walked, I dirt biked out there, you know, whatever. Countless times, but since you could go so far in that UTV, so much further than you can in a little electric dirt bike or by foot or pedal or bicycle, you know, it was a way to really learn the roads, the little trails, washes, things like that. So I memorized it like the back of my hand. I don't remember it too much anymore, but I was able to definitely get around my local area because of him, because he showed me, you know, and that was really nice. So his wife was the brother of this guy. I talked about her already, I believe. I don't remember. He was in the prisons. He worked in the prisons. I don't remember what she worked for. He was in the Bureau of Prisons, and I don't remember what she worked for. But yeah, it was very, very good experiences. I don't know if you can see. You can't even see the clouds on camera, but I can. Can I decrease brightness a little bit? Oh yeah, there you go. There's some. You can't even see them hardly on camera, really. Whatever. Clouds are extremely beautiful. Wish I could catch that on camera. I should be able to catch that on camera. Can I lock it? Won't let me lock the brightness. Won't let me lock the brightness. Well, that's strange. Anyway, clouds are very nice right now. But yeah, so It's very interesting. I don't remember what she did for a living. They married her daughter, their daughter married a Kennedy of the Kennedy families of RFK and all them, right? So that was very interesting, you know. I'm sitting on this log. I'll get up here in a minute and show you around this little area. This log says heart, mom. Oh, there's something. What is it? I can't read it from here, but it says something on it. Anyway, yeah. So that was very interesting. This is extremely, you know. Look, the point I'm trying to make is, even if you're like me and you had very few community experiences or interactions with people around you growing up, you lived in a rural area, no one around, no kids to play with. I had a few. There was a good few number of children around to play with when I was young, but when I got older, slim pickings. Moved away, most of them. So, anyway, you can still find cool stuff. This being from someone who played a major part in my childhood. Not even, you know, it's a major part in my childhood, but it's such a small part, right? It's like 10 trips out in the desert, and that was it, right? And well, I guess also he was kind of known around as well. But he also had very nice dogs. The dogs would always come out. Hazel was one of his dogs, just absolute, the sweetest Labrador, big, giant. I think it was some kind of mix with a pit bull or something. A big, huge big brown Labrador, Hazel Labrador, Hazel. Sweetest, most gentlest soul on the face of the earth. You couldn't find, like my dog, like one of my dogs was, one of my Labradors, our Labradors was as well. Just wouldn't hurt a fly. Nicest, kindest dog. Anyway, yeah, so, you know, he didn't even play a huge part in my life, right? Just a few trips, but that was it. That was enough. Another funny memory I have of him was one day after a big storm. We get haboobs. There's things called haboobs in Arizona that are, you know, giant, huge wind dust storms that are on ground level at 90-mile-an-hour winds or whatever, you know, ridiculous. And after one of those haboobs, I sleep wherever in the house. I slept wherever. I didn't really like sleeping in my room too much. I was kind of uncomfortable in there. I usually slept on the couch outside and live in the living room. I sleep on my couch in my RV now. I don't even sleep on my bed. I like the couches. They're just more comfortable. But anyway, so I wake up, doorbell rings like 3:30 in the morning. And get up, I answer the door, and neighbor's there, and he's like, "Is this your umbrella?" Like, well, yeah, that's our umbrella. Well, what happened? It was in the backyard. It says, "Oh, well, it blew into my front yard." I'm like, what? So what happened was it literally blew out of the backyard, over the house, into his front yard. That's how powerful the storm was. The umbrella wasn't tied down properly, but it wasn't even open. You know, it just went. So that was pretty crazy. Yeah, so that's the I'm looking around in case there's any people around. There's no people around. There's a truck out here. That's kind of the stories behind this. So I can't think of anything else. I'll probably, if I think of anything else, I'll bring this back inside and talk about it. But yeah, just cool stuff. Look for cool stuff in your life, right? Look for cool stuff. If your neighbor's having a yard sale, where we got this from because he moved away, look for cool stuff. You know, look for stuff like this. Look for stuff that nobody else can get. It means so much more, right? Not just forget the intrinsic supply and demand alone, how many eyes have laid on this? How many eyes have read this text? Maybe 100? Maybe some of the students around here, the people he showed it to, the people mentioned it here, whatever, maybe the family extent. That's it, right? It's so much more important. The knowledge and writing style and everything is means so much more, is so much more valuable because it's so rare, because it means so much, because it's from a person, a relative of a person that I knew and enjoyed very much, right? So yeah, that's kind of my point here. Let's get up. I bought a selfie stick here. Oh goodness. So I got a little selfie stick here. I put it in the ground, so it's covered in dirt right now. But oh goodness, there you go. There's some good things. So this says here, I'll show it to you. You can read that. I don't know who the hell wrote this. What does that say? I have no idea. It says something. God only knows. You can see that, right? You got that there? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You can see that there. Of course, there's a car coming right now, but I'm going to spin around this way so I don't film the truck. But yeah, there's the ocean there. Let's go. We go down to the ocean if we want here. The selfie stick is blinking. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't know what the hell could have caused that. Why is the selfie stick blinking? Some kind of buildings in the background over there. But yeah, right, this is so much cooler, you know, just because it's so rare, just because of everything associated with it. And you can find really cool stuff. You just gotta keep looking for it, and it'll help you in life. It'll help you be better, it'll make you happier. And it's cool to show to other people as well. It's always a story to tell. It's always something interesting, something you can bond over with someone, right? Because it's just so rare. And so personal to you, so meaningful, right? So yeah, you can find cool books. Look for them. Don't stop looking for them. I have a few other books that are significant as well and not quite as rare, but some of the writing in them is extremely rare, the rarest, because it's handwritten stuff. So some of them are extremely rare, but this is definitely the rarest book, the rarest complete works that I have, but far and above. So here we are at the ocean here. Some buildings in the background, but I'll spin around here. There you go. There's some framing. There you go. There's a good thumbnail. There you go. That's a good thumbnail right there. I think I'm walking onto state park lands. I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna keep walking. Who cares? Nobody's out here. So, yeah. There's some clouds for you. You see the clouds? Okay, let me see if I can do this here. Let's get me out of the shot and go like that. There you go. It's just paradise here, man. It's just paradise. So yeah, I'm gonna sit here talking about my extremely rare, unbelievably rare book that I found that has all this personal significance to me while walking in this idyllic beach, this glorious cloud-lit beach. And the perfect temperature, perfectly temperate outside. Don't even have my jacket zipped up. You know, I mean, what this is? Am I dead? Did I go to heaven? I don't know. I'll find out. Oh, it's just crazy, right? So yeah, cool books. Look for cool books. Lots of meaning and stuff packed into this. And the text is very interesting as well. I already talked about the text, but I'll talk about it some more. Canned adventure. He even does a classical examination of Disney, but also sort of an abstract one, interpreting meaning and implied meaning in things, not just, oh, well, the buildings are different sizes to give X and X illusion. No, it's more than that. It's more nuanced than that, right? Which is what you'd expect for a master's thesis. You know, you'd think it was something a little bit more than just, this is what Disney looks like, you know? So, yes, very interesting. When I did my senior project, and I was wrongfully kicked out, of course, I've talked about that, mentioned that anyway. I took it upon myself to correct all the problems that the group made, make the damn project simpler, make it work better. So I'm familiar, engineering technology, really, it's technically a technology degree, but it has all the principles of engineering. So, engineering degree, senior project, I'm sort of familiar with the master's thesis level work, you know. But my senior project was dead simple, because what the group decided on was dead simple, which, you know, more power to them. I wanted to do something a little bit more complex, but I was overruled. So it was just a real damn simple Arduino made. What the hell is that? It's a weird colored log. Anyway, literally all it did was read temperature. Read temperature? This Arduino, it read temperature, humidity, and sunlight percentage. This is a basic Arduino circuit. You know, it's really stupid, really a big old waste of time. That's what it was. You know? But the documentation and everything it wasn't longer than this, but it was just as arduous, I'm willing to bet. Keeping all the graphics, all the infographics. That was when the university was switching over to IEEE formatting. So I had to use this horrible, disgusting APA IEEE hybrid for the formatting. There's a car approaching me. I don't know who the hell it is. But, you know, so there was a lot of problems involved. So I'm very familiar with the thesis quality, the thesis level work. I have to say, basic editing errors and stuff like that, I don't know what it was like back in 1980. You know, I had autocorrect. I had spell check, right? So, but I think should have given it to an editor. You know, that's what an editor's for. You know, that's what I'm going to critique this 45-year-old master's thesis on what he should and shouldn't have done. Now, that's the job of an editor, right? You know, that's kind of the purpose of an editor. So, yeah, I just thought it was interesting, very interesting book. Look for cool books in life, you know. Look for cool stuff in life. Look for whatever, you know. Look for old stuff. Look for a harmonica your great grandfather used, or some, you know, something. Look for stuff. Look for cool stuff. Books. I love books. I'm a bit of a bibliophile. What in God's name was that? Is that a fireworks? I'm shooting off fireworks over there. And you know, look at the clouds. Let's take a look at this cloudscape right now. Look at how utterly gorgeous that is. I love this background. I love books. I love reading books. I love everything about books. I've already spoken at length about how written language is the ultimate form of language, because ultimate, open to individual interpretation. Whew. Tide is coming in. So yeah, I thought it was cool. I think I'm gonna start walking onto someone's property over here. So I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna turn around. There's a car coming as well. Oh, there's more water. So yeah, I just thought it was cool. There's some kind of building up there. I think I know what building that is, but not entirely sure. There's some trees for you. There's some trees for you. You can't even see me now. It's too dark. It's gotten too dark. Sun sets at like 10 o'clock. It's about like 9:40 something right now. I don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, yeah, so just thought I'd make a video on cool books. Very important, you know, to me personally. And it's extremely rare. And it's cool because of all that. Because of all that and more. So yeah, cool books. Look for cool books. I'll see you in another video. Use my old outro. Oh boy. Wow.